the chart situation we have. I think it's good. I feel very grateful to all of you that in spite of my coming late here, you are still here and kindly waiting for this program. At the same time, I'm sorry that because of our mistakes, we had to keep you waiting. But hopefully, like at the end of the day, when we come together and do this kind of a program, we feel collectively joyful, and that's my hope. And with that prayer and hope in mind, I would like to begin today's program. I planned for a very busy So I had planned for a very busy schedule for today. Let's say how far we can cover out of the different thoughts that I have put. The first part is going to be the topic of effective hearing. So I have divided that into two parts. The first part would be importance of hearing, and then the second part would be how to be more effective in the hearing process. So what I would do is that maybe I can stop after we have covered the first part, which is the importance of hearing, and then we will go to the next part. So after we have covered the first part, I would like to see if you have anything to share, if there is any questions from your side. So, as I said, like it's a busy, it's going to be a very busy program, and you have to be very attentive because there is going to be some section which would require your rapt attention. There were some handouts that is that already ready? Maybe I can have that for my reference. While the database is ready, coming up for. So for the first part, we are going to discuss a very famous pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that's the meeting between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy. And for the second part, we are going to cover a very beautiful story from the sixth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the story of Narada Muni liberating Haryashvas and Shavalasvas. So that's the overall program going to be. So let's try to build the theme for the first part. Now, in the whole of Bhagavad Gita, you know which verse Srila Prabhupada spoke the most on? Any idea? The number of times that he has spoken on a particular verse is really stands out, and that's for the first verse of the 7th chapter. Maya Sakta Manapartha Yogam Yunjan Madashraya Asanshayam Samagram Mam Yatha Gyasasi Tat Shunam. You know the reason why? Because that's the verse which that's one of the verses in the Bhagavad Gita which emphasizes on the importance of hearing. So 7th chapter is also the beginning of a very important section of the Bhagavad Gita, which is the Bhakti Yoga section. So as you know, the Bhagavad Gita is divided broadly into sections. The first 6 chapters they deal with Karma Yoga, broadly speaking. The middle 6 chapters deal with Bhakti Yoga, and the last 6 chapters they deal with Jnana Yoga. And the middle 6 chapters contain the essence. So before Krishna begins the essential section of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna first wanted to draw the attention of Arjuna to a very essential ingredient of bhakti, which is to hear properly. So he's saying, Krishna is saying there, that asanshayam samagram mam yatha dhyasis. If you want to learn the truth without doubt, then you must pay attention. You must hear properly. So that's shrunu. So within that word shrunu is Krishna's calling Arjuna's attention, that please pay attention, because it's a very important section I'm going to speak on. So that's the reference of the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna wanted Arjuna to hear properly. So hearing is very, very important element of devotional service. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a verse in the first canto. It goes like this, that Yasyam vai Shruyamananam Krishna Parama Purushe Bhaktir Utpatyate Punsam Shoka Moha Bhaya Apaha. So in that verse, it is expressed the importance of hearing as follows. Say that Yasyam vai Shruyamananam, as you take part in the hearing process, which is one of the limbs of bhakti, right? Because the limbs of bhakti, the description starts with Shravanam, right? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Bandhanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. These 9 different processes of bhakti. The starting point is hearing. So it is expressed there that Yasyam vai Shruyamananam. As one becomes serious in the hearing process, then what happens? Krishna Parama Purusha. Unto Krishna, who is the Supreme Lord, what happens is Bhakti Utpatyate Punsam. There is a natural development of bhakti in the heart. And then, as a consequence of that, what happens? Shoka Moha Bhaya Apaha. If you want to get rid of Shoka, which means lamentation, Moha, which means illusion, and Bhaya means fear, then you must hear attentively. So that's the import of this verse. Then there is another very beautiful verse, which I think it comes in the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where it is said that this is my spiritual master's favorite verse. Nivishta karna randhrena swanam hava saroruham Dhunoti Shamalam Krishna Salilasya Yatha Sharat. So there it is expressed that that Pravishta Karna Randhrena, as the sound vibration, it penetrates the ears, and Swanam Bhava Saruruham, and then it acts upon the heart and it creates some emotion in the heart, which means that one is paying attention in the hearing. So then it basically stirs something in the heart. So then what happens as a result of that is that so Pravishta Karna Randhrena Swanam Bhava Saruruham Dhunoti Shamalam Krishna. Krishna, from within the heart, he removes all kinds of dirty things. So hearing is a very important cleansing process. It's a process to clean the heart. And then there is a very beautiful analogy that is given. It's just like in the autumn season. So autumn season comes just after the rainy season. In rainy season there is a lot of rain and a lot of mud and all those things accumulate, so a lot of dirt everywhere. But the beauty of that autumn season is that there is some light rain. And with that light rain, what happens is that there is some sedimentation of those dirt, and then all of a sudden those lake which which have become really muddy in the rainy season, they become crystal clear because of that sedimentation. So therefore it is expressed that Salilasya Yatha Sharad. Just like in the Sharad season or in the autumn season, the Salil or the water becomes crystal clear. Just like that, just by hearing, our heart becomes completely purified. And it is also described in the first canto how that happens. It is described like this: Shrinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridi Antasto Yavadrani Vidunati Subrit Satam. So it's Krishna who is sitting within the heart. He cleanses the heart. And that's how our heart becomes clean. Hridi Antasto Yavadrani Vidunati Subrit Satam. So all the dirts are clean just by the hearing process. So why do we have to hear? Because we want to develop spiritual conception and have to get rid of all kinds of material conceptions which are clogging our heart. They are the impurities. So what are the impurities? It's the different varieties of material conceptions of life that we carry. And what are material conceptions after all? Material conceptions are varieties of plans, aspirations that we have to basically think that there is happiness to be found by changing the configuration of matter by our own endeavor. So as long as we are endeavoring for changing the configuration of matter, adjusting material circumstances and deriving a lot of pleasure out of these material experiences, we are going to be defeated. So that's basically the material conceptions of life. So in order to gain the spiritual conceptions, we have to set aside the material conceptions. So if we focus on absorbing the spiritual conceptions, they will take the place of material conception. And that's only going to be possible if you pay careful attention to the message of Bhagavad Gita, to the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. Because through the Bhagavad Gita, through Srimad Bhagavatam, through the medium of the Acharyas, all these spiritual conceptions are being transmitted. And they are transmitted from heart to heart. So from our side, there is only one necessity, and that is to have an open heart to receive the message. So when we receive the spiritual conceptions, what happens is that all the material conceptions are driven out. Because there is no more place for material conceptions to remain. Because spiritual conceptions override the material conceptions. So from our side, therefore, there needs to be an inclination to allow those material conceptions to be overridden by the spiritual conceptions. Which means that we need to have the faith in the deliverer of the message. And only then the process will work to eliminate contaminations from our heart. So this is the background of why it is important to hear. Now, because we are going to speak a lot about what is proper hearing, let me give an example of what is improper hearing. It's a very famous example. So there was a famous Bhagavatam speaker. Like in India, there are like these Bhagavad Saptas are very popular. And like if you especially visit Vrindavan, you will find different kind of looks of so-called teachers, and they will have like somebody will have like long flowing beard, somebody would have like shaven head, and different varieties of tilak, like you will find, and they will have their hands like this. So they have like these different Bhagavad Saptas that go on. So in one such Bhagavad Sapta, there was one very enthusiastic speaker who was delivering Bhagavad Katha for 1 week. And then in his audience was also a very, you can say, enthusiastic listener who would come every day before anybody comes and would sit in the front row. So it was an old lady, and she would come, and as the Bhagavatam speaker would start speaking, she would just cry tears. Like all the 7 days she consistently cried. So the Bhagavad speaker was naturally very observant of that specific person who stood out there. So at the end of his whole sapta, he thought of, approaching and finding out how she was feeling. So because he wanted to find out more, so he requested, "Oh my, like I found you to be so enthusiastically participating in this Bhagavad Saptah. May I ask you this, which part of the Bhagavatam really touched your heart? Is it Parikshit Maharaj getting cursed? Or is it the gopis of Vrindavan feeling separation from Krishna? Or is it Mother Devahuti feeling the gratitude towards Kashyapa for giving so much of mercy? What is it that was so moving that you were like crying every day?" So then this person, she asked like what gopis, what Kashyapa, what are you talking about here? So then he said, "But mine, like I have been observing you, you had been regularly coming and sitting in the front row, and not only sitting, like you were like very expressive externally, like you were crying like daily. There must be something that has moved your heart, otherwise why would you cry? So what is it?" So, "Oh, that." So then she said that what happened was that about 1 week ago, my goat died. And you know what? My goat used to have a beard, which used to just somehow resemble your beard. And every time like I would come and sit in front of you, I would be reminded of my goat. And that's how I was so much crying. So I used to feel a lot of separation from my goat. So this is called improper hearing, where we are sitting in the Bhagavatam class, or sitting in any class, and our mind is somewhere else. It's called inattentive hearing. So where we would not be able to absorb anything or do anything meaningful with our own life. Because after all, when we hear, it is not just meant for, okay, I'm sitting on the chariot, okay, I now philosophize. I know this, how this material energy is working. I now know like how like Krishna's different creative energies are functioning in such an organized fashion, and I can even give so many classes. The idea is not about like developing like different or accumulating different packets of information like we are used to in the modern day. Like this is information age, where like every day we are bombarded with so much of like information. Like every day, like we all are used to going through internet, and like there is this Google Acharya sitting there answering all our questions, and in this way, like we are just bombarded with every day so much of information. So generally, like with this kind of regular habit, what happens is we develop a tendency to just collect information or collect pieces of information, and like as we like become like full of like these trivia facts, like we feel also very proud that I know so many things. But this message, this spiritual message or transcendental knowledge is not like that. It is not supposed to be just be approached like the way we approach mundane topics, or we would have approached in our life mundane topics like physics, chemistry, maths, English, or any of those academic subject matters, where we are supposed to just learn something and bomb it out in the exam and then get good grades. Or like there is a big distance between what we learn and what we apply. But here, transcendental knowledge is supposed to be received in the core of our heart with the intention to apply, with the intention to live by, the principles to live by. Not just like we just collect pieces of information and just feel very proud of knowing something. Because what happens like this, I have seen, like as number of years grow in our culturing of Krishna consciousness, like coming to the temple, you might be coming for 20 years, 30 years to the temple. And then what happens is that we keep on hearing certain things like, okay, you are not this body, you are spirit, soul, like we are supposed to execute loving devotional service to Krishna. Some of the messages, they become like cliche. And then over like when somebody says, okay, I already know about it, why do you have to say this? That's the attitude that we develop. Because no longer like that submissiveness has already gone out of the window. now like we just became filled with so much of information, but without any practical application. Like we just become like filled, like okay, now I am filled with so much of knowledge or so-called knowledge or information. And that's the difference between knowledge and information. Information is something that we collect, knowledge is something that we apply and realize in our life. So it's a gulf of difference between the two. But when we approach even the transcendental subject matters, like the way we are used to approaching our mundane subjects, that's what is going to happen. Like after many, many years, we will realize, okay, I already know so much. I don't need to know anything else. And people would be even like be averse to hearing, because they would think, I have already read Srila Prabhupada's books, I have read this, read that. So what that essentially means is I have already collected information, I don't need to collect anymore. Or it's all like Prabhupada's words would sound repetitive, like it's all the same, Prabhupada is speaking the same things. But those who are applying the message of the Bhagavad Gita and the message of the Bhagavatam, they would find that actually Prabhupada's words are not repetitive. As we read the same thing again and again, there is a renewed inspiration that comes. New realizations will come. It's not at all like it's always going to stand afresh. That's why Bhagavad Gita one can read many, many times. It's not just like to be read only one time. Okay, so let's try to take a transition shift and go into this wonderful pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu meeting Ramananda Roy. This is a very instructive section of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and not only that, like it's also a very esoteric section, and that's why I hope I'm purposefully having this before lunch. Actually, not really like sleeping. But this section is very, very interesting, and it firmly establishes the importance of hearing, and that's the reason I selected this section. So, first of all, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy, these are like probably one of the most glorious personalities whom we would hear about in our whole sampradaya. Because who are they after all? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself in the mood of Srimati Radharani. So he is the supreme personality of Godhead. Who is Ramananda Roy? Ramananda Roy, like it is described in Gaur Vanadesh Dipika. That's the book where the different characters are exposed. The different characters of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's entourage or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's loving associates, they are exposed. Exposed in the sense that every member in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela, they are simultaneously also participating in Krishna's eternal Leela of Vrindavan. So they are not like ordinary persons. So in that book, the different personalities, they are being revealed, like who is this, who is that. It's like who is this kind of book. So Ramananda Roy has been revealed to be Lalita Sakhi. So now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself in the mood of Srimati Radharani, and Lalita Sakhi is Radharani's most intimate associate. Like wherever we find on the altar, like if we go to Sri Ram Mayapur, there are 8 principal gopis that are there on the altar. Who is next to Srimati Radharani? Lalita and Vishaka on either side. So you can see, so it's the exchange between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy. It's the exchange between two most confidential devotees of Krishna. Most confidential. So we do not have time to go into the glories of Ramananda Roy, because there are a lot of things that could be spoken on just Ramananda Roy. But I would like to just get into this pastime where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was visiting South India, and he was in his usual state of ecstasy, where he was not in his external consciousness. He was like just inward, like fully absorbed in his love for Krishna. And while in that state of trance and state of ecstasy, as he was going through the streets, whomever he would embrace, they would also develop similar feelings of love of God. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling from, in the South India, from G.R. Narsingha temple, and he was going towards Godavari. So as he was going to Godavari, whomever he was meeting, he was just delivering them. He was giving them love of God. And that's the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to give love of God, without caring for what qualifications or disqualifications they may have. So although externally he may appear to be like a mad person not knowing where he is going, but he was going with a purpose. So he was going to Godavari, to the bank of Godavari, because he knew that Ramananda Roy is also going to come. So he not only went to the bank of Godavari, he also swam across. So he went to the other side of the river. And he was there, and then at that time, Ramananda Roy came with his procession, because Ramananda Roy was a king. So interestingly, Ramananda Roy is described in two ways. One is that he was playing the role of political person, because he was the governor of Madras at that time. And therefore he was worldly, like he was involved in a worldly way. But internally, he was a pure devotee. And as you can see, like, even more esoterically, he was the most confidential servant of Krishna, Lalita Sakhi. So all the externally he was appearing as governor of Madras, and also in the social system he is described as a Shudra. That's how he is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So all of these external factors are there, but at the same time, internally he was the most confidential devotee of Krishna. So when he was coming there, he saw from a distance that there is like a very, very effulgent personality that was there on the bank of the river, Godavari. And how effulgent he was, it is described, he was effulgent like hundreds of suns. That's how it is described. So when he was there, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately wanted to run towards him and embrace him. But he was just keeping himself there, like calm. Although that's how he felt like. So then, somehow or other, these two personalities met, and then they embraced each other. And in their loving embrace, they felt like ecstatic symptoms, like all these different ashta vikar, or the different transformations of the body that take place, that happen. Now before that embrace, I forgot to tell one thing. Yeah. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, "Are you Ramananda Roy?" That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked. Then Ramananda Roy replied very humbly. He said, "I am your very lowly servant. I am a Shudra, and I am a very lowly servant." That's how he presented himself. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Actually, you are a very special devotee. You are not an ordinary person. Because Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya from Puri, he sent me specifically so that I can meet you. Why? Because I have just taken sannyas in the Mayavad order. So I need association of a special devotee like you, so that I can develop some devotional sentiments." There is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining. So I needed your association. That's why Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya saw this as a great opportunity for me to get transformed. And therefore he sent me to meet you. And on the other hand, Ramananda Roy is saying that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is very, very kind upon me, because he wanted me to be delivered, and that's why he considers me as his servant, and therefore he cares for me, and therefore he has sent you, so that I can get this opportunity to meet you and then get delivered from this clutches of material existence. So this is the kind of level of conversation that is happening between these two exalted personalities. Imagine what's going to happen like if the devotees in our community, they speak like this amongst each other. A complete transformation. So much of humility, like depth of humility, something that they really mean in the core of the heart, not just an external show off that is going on, but something that they literally mean. And then they embrace each other. And when they embrace, like it's like Radharani and Lalita Sati meeting together. So then, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu particularly used a word to refer to Ramananda Roy, and that the word is Mahabhagavata Uttama. So generally we have heard Bhagavata. Bhagavata means one is a devotee of the Lord. When we say Mahabhagavata, that's already the most exalted devotee. So, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu uses that he is the most exalted of all exalted devotees. So Mahabhagavata Uttama, that's how he has referred to Ramananda Roy. And when Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami started describing, I mean, this is the style in which Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes any of the pastime. He just first gives a synopsis and then he goes into the detail. So when he described, and I am going to describe you this conversation between these two great personalities, how he introduced it, that it's just like Ramananda Roy is like a rain cloud who is now collecting mercy from the ocean, who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he is now going to pour upon that ocean. So he is extracting mercy from the ocean and then pouring on the ocean, just like that. So that conversation is just like that. So it's like rainfall happening from the rain cloud, which has absorbed enough amount of mercy from the source of all mercy, or the most merciful, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that's how he introduces what he's going to describe. So then, what happened was that there was one Brahmana who was there, also visiting the same place. So he invited Lord Chaitanya that please come for lunch to my home the next day. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gladly accepted that offer, but he also requested Ramananda Roy to also join that home. So then, now the setting is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taken lunch in that home, and then now it's kind of getting the evening, and now these two great personalities, they are seated in a confidential room. It's not like this conversation is happening open in the public, because this is not an ordinary conversation. This conversation is very, very high and esoteric. And that's why they are seated. So it's specifically the word that is used is Raha Stita. Raha Stita means that they chose a very confidential spot for having this conversation. So they are secluded in a room. So that's where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy are seated. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expressed. The first thing that he expressed is that, like, Pado Shlok Shadhyat Nirnay. So Prabhupada, this is how Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami expressed that Prabhupada kahe Pado Shlok Shadhyat Nirnay. What does sadhya mean? Sadhya means sadhya, the object of perfection. Sadhya, like we do sadhana for what? Because we want to obtain something. What is that we want to obtain? We want to obtain the lotus feet of Krishna. That's our sadhya. Or we want to go back to the spiritual world. That's our sadhya, right? So here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is expressing Pado Shlok, which means like quote some verse establishing conclusively what is sadhya, or what is the ultimate goal of life and how to obtain it. Sadhya Nirnay. Nirnay means we have to now arrive at a conclusion. We need to conclude on this, what is the ultimate goal of life and how to attain it. What an entry point to the conversation. This is what we are going to discuss as an importance of hearing part. So then, Rai kahe, then the Rai, Ramananda Rai, Rai kahe, Shadharma acharane Vishnu bhakti hai, So he is saying that just by executing one's swadharma, shadharma, acharana, which means by following one's own prescribed duties, what happens? Vishnu Bhakti Bhaya. So that means he is establishing Vishnu Bhakti is the ultimate goal. How to obtain it? Just by following one's own prescribed duties. And then he quotes this verse that Varnashrama Acharavata Purushena Parak Puman Vishnu Aradhyate Punsa Na Anyat Tat Tosha Karanam. So he quotes Vishnu Puran to establish his point, like why he is saying this, that Swadharma Acharana, like just by executing one's own prescribed duties, one can attain the ultimate goal of life, which is Vishnu Bhakti. So he is saying that Varnashrama Acharavata, this is just by executing the system of Varnashrama, Purushena Parah Puman, one obtains the highest goal. Vishnu Aradhyate Pantha. This is the way for worshipping Vishnu. And na anyat tat tosha karana. There is no other better way to please Lord Vishnu. Very extreme words. Like when he's quoting, like so authoritative. And that's why he's saying that just by executing the principles of Varnashrama Dharma, or acting according to one's own psychophysical nature, guided by senior authorities, what is going to happen? One would attain Vishnu Bhakti. And what does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say? Prabhu kahe, evo bayo, or bacho, if you want to use Bengali pronunciation. Aage baho baat. This is external. Go ahead. One may wonder, like, this is like something he has very authoritatively stated. Why is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying this is external? Is he rejecting the verse? No. Verse is very important, and it stands supreme as far as Vishnu Puran is concerned. There is no question about that. But the point is that it could be applied at a much lower level than where it stands, and therefore it can be external. So there could be potential danger of it being applied externally without really having an internal realization or without having an internal purification. So there is a chance of just an external application of that verse. So how, one may wonder? So first of all, Varnashrama Dharma, it's just a stepping stone for spiritual life. It is offering us a platform to stand on to prosecute our devotional service. Because Varna and Ashrama, Varna is established in the social system, the four division, which is based on the psychophysical nature, and particularly as Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita, Chatu Varna Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagam. Division is based on Guna and Karma, the specific qualities that one has acquired by virtue of what? By virtue of our past misuse of free will. Right? Psychophysical nature is all the makeup of our subtle body, which is all based on our past misuse of free will. So whatever it is, based on that dictates the kind of activities, the quality of work will be dictated primarily based on that psychophysical nature. So that psychophysical nature is meant to be directed towards Krishna's service by situating ourselves in a particular ashram, whether it is brahmachari ashram or grihastha ashram or vanaprastha ashram or sannyasa ashram. Because what is ashram after all? Ashram means it's a place for spiritual cultivation. It doesn't matter whether one is a brahmachari or a grihastha grihastha does not mean like it's a license for sense gratification. It's also an ashram. Ashram means it's a place for spiritual cultivation. Which means like there is a synthesis going on. Synthesis of the psychophysical nature and directing it towards service of Krishna by situating oneself in a particular ashram. And that's defining the spiritual order, or taking that psychophysical nature and orienting that towards serving Krishna. But the external part is that one may become just absorbed in the complexities of the varna, the specific prescribed duties, and once ability to really utilize everything in Krishna's service, or redirecting everything that is coming as an opportunity to be employed in Krishna's service to employ in one's own sense gratification can be possible route. And therefore, it is said that it can be external. So Swadharma Acharana, although it is guided by the spiritual master, everything is nicely there, but it can still be external, because one's own desires for sense gratification can come as a bottleneck in applying that fully. So the point I am making is that this verse can be applied in the highest possible level, but it can be also applied at an intermediate level or applied at the lowest possible level. So there is always a danger of just remaining entrapped within one's own psychophysical nature, or entrapped within one's own varna, and not ready to move forward. But it is meant for moving us forward, not just making us remain within the specific complexities that arises out of the prescribed duties. So therefore Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Eho Bahyo Age Kabar. Then what does Rai? Rai kahe Krishna Karma Arpan Shadho Shad. Shadho Shadho Shad. So Ramananda Rai then speaks that by Krishna Karma Arpan, by dedicating all our or whatever our activities to Krishna. And then he quotes another very beautiful verse, and that verse is also a very well-known verse from Bhagavad Gita. Yat karoshi yadashnasi, yat juhoshi dadasya, yat tapasyasi kantya, tat kurushva madapana. That whatever you do, you employ in my service. And interestingly, just after that, what is the verse that appears in the Bhagavad Gita? Anybody knows? What is the verse after this? Or not verse after this, the verse prior to this. It's also a very important verse of Bhagavad Gita. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachate tadaham bhakti upakritam ashnami pratatmanam. Right? So first Krishna says that okay, whatever you eat, whether it is leaf, flower, fruit or water, just offer with love to me. Right? That's what Krishna asks for. Then Krishna generalizes in the next verse, which is this verse. That yat karoshi yadashnasi, whatever you do, not only whatever you eat. So yat karoshi yadashnasi, whatever you eat. Then yat juhoshi dadasya, whatever activities that you are cultivating. Juhoshi means whatever cultivation that you are doing. And dadasya, yat means whatever charity you are giving away. Yat tapasyasi kante, whatever austerities you are going through. Tat kurushva madapana. Just dedicate that to me. That is karma yoga. Right? This is the verse that is karma yoga. This verse talks about karma yoga. So Krishna karma arpanam is essentially karma yoga. Or another way of saying it is karma mishra bhakti. So here, interestingly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Eho Bahyo Age Kabar. This is external. Tell me more. So how is this external? So this is how I have heard my spiritual master express that Yat Karoshi Yadashnasi, this verse is like, applying this verse is like having two kinds of pockets. There is me pocket and there is Krishna pocket. So whatever we do, there is always like a tendency to keep something aside from myself, my own self-gratification, and then there is Krishna pocket. So that's why Karma Yoga also has these divisions. There is Sakam Karma Yoga and Nishkam Karma Yoga. Right? Sakam means it's like when our heart is filled with fruitive desires, and at the same time we want to purify whatever fruits that are coming. So we want to just give some proportion to Krishna. So that's why there are two pockets being maintained here. It's not one pocket. So therefore, it is something which is not fully pure. It's not presented with a pure heart because one is carrying one's own vested motives in approaching Krishna. And that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Ego Bhaiyo Age Bhagavan. Tell me more. So now, given that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has rejected the proposition of Krishna Karma Arpana or Karma Mishra Bhakti, you can understand what's the next thing that can come. So then, Ramananda Rai says that Rai kahe Shadharma Tyag A Shadhar Shad. Now he is saying that you give up your occupational duties, which means karma sannyas. Right? And then he quotes the most important verse of the Bhagavad Gita, is Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayishyami Ma Shuchaha. That you give up all your occupational activities and simply surrender unto me. And I will take care of all your sinful reactions. And do not fear, do not hesitate, do not worry. That's Krishna's promise. Okay? And this is like the Charan Shloka of Bhagavad Gita, the pinnacle verse of Bhagavad Gita. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Ego Bhaiyo Age Bhagavan. Tell me more, this is external. How is this external? So here, so the idea is that the karma sannyas, which means that you give up your occupational activities. The import of this verse is that you give up all your subsidiary occupational activities and just focus on surrendering unto Krishna. But it can still be applied, or it could be misapplied. It could be misapplied in the sense that one's motivation may not be just that I want to just surrender my life to Krishna. The motivation could be that I want to get out of this material miseries. And therefore, it could be external. The motivation need not have, the motivation need not have to be of this kind, where one is thinking that, okay, I just want to not suffer in this material world. Or whatever selfish motive that could be, because of which one gives up one's occupational activities and dedicates one's life. The point is that the Krishna consciousness is not a process that can be externally judged. It's a process of the heart. How surrendered we are at the level of consciousness, that determines where we stand in our Krishna consciousness. And therefore, this question of external application is coming into picture. That all of the words reigns supreme. The words is at the highest level. It could be applied suboptimally. It could be applied at that level. And that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is rejecting and requesting Ramananda Rai to go forward. That one's motivation may not be sufficiently pure, that I want to just surrender my life to Krishna, but I just want to get rid of like all the troubles that I'm facing in this material world, and therefore I want to surrender my life. You see like how high this discussion is going. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has already rejected this. So now, Rai is also not giving up, he is also quoting one after another. It's basically Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is empowering him to speak. And that's why that analogy is given. It's just like the rain cloud getting the mercy or getting the empowerment from the ocean of mercy, which is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then it's just pouring down on the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he's just like, Ramananda Rai describes that I'm just like a puppet in your hands. And you're just making me speak these verses. So then it's in Rai Kahe, Gyan Mishra Bhakti, Shadhushar. And then he quotes the verse, Brahma Bhuta Prasanna Atma, Na Shochati Na Kamshati, Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu, Mad Bhakti Lavate Param. So now the question arises, so why, like he suggested Gyan Mishra Bhakti at this point? The reason is that he has rejected karma sannyas. He has rejected this Sarvadharman Parityajya verse, which means that like one may not act with full knowledge. So therefore knowledge becomes an important ingredient in our devotional service. Right? And that's why the light is brought to the knowledge part of it. That one may not be acting in knowledge, one may be acting sentimentally. or just selfishly to get out of this material sufferings or miseries, and therefore I need to surrender to Krishna. But the idea is that we need to also surrender in full knowledge, and therefore Gyan Mishra Bhakti, and therefore Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. So first one needs to be Brahman realized. Brahma Bhuta, when one becomes Brahman realized, what happens? Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu, one would have equal vision, and Na Shojati Na Kamshati. There is no more lamentation and hankering. And that is the starting of Bhakti. Mad Bhakti Labhate Param. That's how Krishna describes. Brahma Bhuta platform is not the highest platform, as you can see, just by this verse. Because it is the beginning of Bhakti. Brahma Bhuta Prasanna Atma, Na Shojati Na Kamshati. These are the symptoms of coming to the Brahma Bhuta platform, which means realizing that we are eternal part and parcel servant of Krishna, being in that knowledge, being aware of that point, that I am Krishna's servant, and then engaging in Krishna Bhakti, right? So, Mad Bhakti Labhate Param. From that point onwards, Bhakti begins. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Eho Bahyo Age Kaho Ar. So, he rejected that also. And then, now, Rai Kahe, Gyan Shunya Bhakti. Shadho Shad. And then he quotes this verse. Jnane prayasa udapasya namanta eva jivanti sanmukharitam bhavatiya bhartam sthane sthita shrutigata tanuvan manobhir ye yah prayasa ajita jita apyasi tais trilokyam. This is the verse that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu finally accepted as the Sadhu Shad, or the principal operating, or the most important operating principle for us to ensure that we attain our sadhya, or we attain the ultimate goal of life. Okay, so what is this verse? So here, this verse comes in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 10th canto, just after Brahma Vimoha Leela. What is Brahma Vimoha Leela? That Brahma steals the cows, and then Brahma realizes his mistake. That he just considered Krishna to be an ordinary boy, while Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he also gave a darshan to Lord Brahma, and also revealed knowledge in his heart. And out of that full realization, he's speaking of these verses. And there are many, many nice verses in that sequence. And this beautiful verse comes like in the beginning of his prayers. So it is part of Lord Brahma's prayers to Krishna after he realizes his mistake. So where Lord Brahma is saying that Jnane Prayasa Udapasya, give up any endeavor for mental scholarship. Any endeavor for understanding anything spiritual by the process of mental speculation. Any tendency for mental speculation, give it up. Jnane Prayasa Udapasya. Udapasya means completely give up. And Prayas means to endeavor or to gain something by our extending our mental faculties in understanding the subject matter. The tendency for mental speculation. So, Jnane Prayasa Udapasya. And Namanta Eva. Namanta Eva means you become humble. Because humility is very essential element to give up this speculative tendency. Because when we have speculative tendency, that's an indication of essential pride. Because speculative tendency means like, I know better. Another way of putting it. I can figure it out. I don't need your help. Right? I am sufficiently skilled to figure it out. So that's basically the tendency for mental speculation. So here, this prayer is saying that Jnane Prayasa Udapasya, Namante, you become humble. Jivanti Sanmukharitam Bhavadya Varta, and you dedicate your life to the hearing process. To hearing from Sanmukharita. Sanmukharita means from qualified souls, not from anybody, not from professional Bhagavatam speakers, like the initial example that I gave. The person who is speaking must be a transparent, bona fide representative of a bona fide disciplic succession. Now, disciplic succession is bona fide when it is also articulated by the Vedas. And Vedas are very clearly articulated, like what are the disciplic successions which can be considered as bona fide. There are many verses that can be quoted to establish there are only 4 bona fide Vaishnava Sampradayas. And that's basically Shri Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, Kumar Sampradaya, and Brahma Sampradaya. So ISKCON is not a society where like it's just built in America or made in America. This is a society which finds its root in the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. And that's why it's called Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. The starting point is Brahma, that Krishna speaking the message to Lord Brahma and the message coming down through the disciplic succession. And then you have very important personalities like Madhvacharya and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that's why it is called Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. And likewise there are other bona fide Sampradayas as well, like Shri Sampradaya, where Krishna speaking the message to Lakshmi Devi, message coming down, Krishna speaking the message to the 4 Kumaras, message coming down, Kumar Sampradaya, or Krishna speaking the message to Lord Shiva, the message coming down, there is Rudra Sampradaya. And in each of these Sampradayas, there are bona fide Acharyas to establish the validity of the knowledge or to protect the integrity of the knowledge. Like for example, in Shri Sampradaya, there is famous Acharya, Sripad Ramanujacharya. That's Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. And then likewise Rudra and Kumar Sampradaya, Nimbarka Acharya and Vishnu Swami, who are the prominent Acharyas. And likewise in our Sampradaya, Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, there are Prabhupada's disciples who are currently carrying that pattern, or carrying that same amount of, you can say, opportunity. So it's not that we can say Prabhupada is no longer there and therefore the opportunity is lost. The same opportunity, or we cannot say that we are not in Dwapar Yuga when Krishna is speaking the message to Arjuna, the opportunity is lost. No, it's the same opportunity that is available. It's same because of the purity of the individuals who are representing the Sampradaya. They are the ones who are preserving the integrity of the message, that it can be passed down without any alteration, because they do not have any vested motive other than simply representing the message, which means they are accepting the message, as we discussed. They are accepting the message in the core of their heart, they are applying, and then they are sharing from their realizations. So they are preserving the sanctity of the message. So therefore, Jivanti Sanmukharita Bhavadya Varta. So that the hearing process is not just like we just turn on the TV and there are so many channels like this Maharshi channel, that channel. I mean, especially if you go to India, probably throughout the day there is some discourse going on. And at the end of the day, mind would be like totally covered. Somebody is saying, oh, worship Shiva. Somebody is saying, okay, worship, and it doesn't matter whomever you worship. At the end of the day, like there is nothing to actually look forward to, because one is a thoroughly confused person. It's very dangerous. And it is happening because those who are speaking the message, they have no authority to speak. How do we know? You have to just ask a simple question. Whom are you representing? They may say, okay, this is my guru. Okay, who is your guru's guru? In this way, it should be traceable back to Krishna. As you see, all the 4 bona fide sampradayas, they trace back to Krishna. They originate in Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of God. And therefore, we can have faith. We do not need to have any doubt that like we are getting the right message. Because Srila Prabhupada is representing the whole disciplic succession. Our current acharyas, represent the whole disciplic succession. They are not just standing for themselves, they're the whole, like, luminaries, the series of luminaries, they are aligned together to give us the message. So this is very serious. So San Mukharikam Bhavadhyavati, very selectively, hearing from the sources which are bona fide. And we are going to discuss further in the next section what this meant by effective hearing. So let's move forward. And then Sthanasthita, Shrudigatam Tanuvan Manove. You do not have to change your position. Sthanasthita means you remain in your own occupational, you stay in your own, whatever situation it may be, like household situation, like one is working outside, all those things. You don't need to change. Sthanasthita. Shrudigatam. All we have to do is that Shrudigatam Tanu Van Manogir. We have to dedicate our Tanu, which means body. Van means our words, and Van is basically walk. Manogir. Manogir means our mind. We have to dedicate these things fully into the hearing process. It has to be full dedication. And then it is said that Yah Prayasho Ajita Jita Apyasi Das Trilokya. One who is able to do that, Krishna, who is Ajita or unconquerable, he becomes conquered. This is the benediction. So this is the word that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted, that this is the medium to attain the highest perfection of life. And he has already rejected so many important verses. Not that those verses are not at the highest level, but they could be misapplied. But here, there is no question of misapplication. Why? Because the process is very simple. You give up your tendencies for mental speculation, simply hear from bona fide source, and dedicate your life to that. And all transformations will happen from there. Nothing else need to be done. It will guarantee the highest, guarantee us attaining the highest perfection of life. That's the beauty. Now let's try to analyze a little bit what we covered and what is the sequence it moved. You would appreciate this. So first thing that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected was Varnashrama dharma, right? So which is basically, it could be misapplied because one may just become absorbed in the complexity of one's own psychophysical nature and may not be able to possibly direct it into Krishna's service. And then it moved forward to Krishna Karma Arpana, which means like basically Karma Mishra Bhakti. So where Bhakti plus Karma, you can write as Bhakti plus Karma essentially. So Bhakti that is adulterated with Karma. Why adulterated? Because we may still have some our ideas of working within this material world. And then we somehow want to just partake in our fruits. This is what is dovetailing, right? Dovetailing means I want to do what I want to do. And then whatever the fruits are, I am okay to share with Krishna. Not necessarily fully, but whatever. But okay, it can be fully also. But the point is that but it is still karma yoga, or it is still karma mishra, or the bhakti that is adulterated with karma, because one is not fully ready to give one's life to Krishna. It doesn't matter how you want to engage me. No, I care about what kind of job I want to do. I like writing programs, or I like doing whatever. I like taking care of patients, or I like flying in airlines, or whatever. There are different things could be. One is attached to one's work, that's what I mean. So there is some attachment. So one cannot be able to apply it fully. So therefore it's karma mishra bhakti. Then logically it proceeded to reject karma. So it's now bhakti minus karma. Because it is karma arpanam. After karma arpanam swadharma tyag or sarvadharman parityaja, right? You give up your occupational duties and simply focus on surrendering on duty. So now it's bhakti minus karma. Then after that, it went into Gyan Mishra Bhakti, which is essentially Bhakti plus Gyan. Bhakti which is adulterated with Gyan. Why is it adulterated? Oh, by the way, we did not discuss why it was rejected, why this verse was rejected. This Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma verse was rejected because what is preceding bhakti? The gyan that is preceding bhakti is speculative knowledge. It is not a realized knowledge or not a devotional knowledge. It is speculative knowledge. And speculative knowledge will be dangerous. And that is why it was rejected. Because what is your medium for knowledge if that is what is preceding bhakti? Right? So therefore, bhakti that is adulterated with gyan, so bhakti plus gyan is rejected. And then finally, that was accepted was gyan shunya bhakti, because it is also karma shunya, because karma shunya has also been established. It's now the final thing that Krishna accepted was bhakti minus karma minus gyan, effectively. Which means bhakti minus fruitive activities minus mental speculation. What is that verse? Anya vilashita shunyam jnana karma nirmamritam Krishna anukulena Krishna anushiranam bhakti uttam. That's the definition of uttam bhakti. Uttam bhakti is defined to be that kind of bhakti which should be devoid of any tendency for fruitive activities and any tendencies for mental speculation. Jnana karma adi anavritam. Right? So it's bhakti is minus karma minus jnana. You see how systematically Ramananda Roy led to that conclusion, and that's why this Gyan Shunya Bhakti is the highest principle. And how can we make Gyan Shunya Bhakti? That which is free from adulteration of our mind or mental speculation. That's only possible when we are submissively hearing. Only then it is going to be possible. Otherwise it's not possible. Which means I am letting go of my own understanding of how things are, or how to be happy in this world, or the different varieties of material conceptions of life. So from our side, there needs to be a submissiveness to set aside or allowing those spiritual conceptions that are coming through the medium of bona fide acharyas to override those conceptions. That's what is proper hearing. And when that happens, there is no room for mental speculation. It's all then bhakti minus jnana or minus karma. That's the stage where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to lead Ramananda Rai to reach, and for our own benefit. So now we know what is the ultimate goal of life. The ultimate goal of life is the lotus feet of Krishna. To get Krishna Bhakti, unadulterated Krishna Bhakti, or unalloyed Krishna Bhakti, pure Krishna Bhakti. How are you going to get that? Simply by giving oral reception to the messages that are coming from bona fide channels, not from any channel. So that's the importance of hearing. Anything that maybe we can take one question or something you would like to share before we move on to the next session. The next session is also very interesting. Yes, please.
Hare Krishna. Very nice, Prabhupada Prabhuji. When you explained that there are 4 bona fide sampradayas,
yes.
After hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, and especially the story of Jal Bharat and Rahugana, the question comes, who was the spiritual master